What's going on, YouTube? For today's lesson, we're going to be working in Pro Tools 12. I'm going to be showing you how to tighten up those guitar tracks. So let's just jump right into this. All right, so these grayed out tracks you see up top right here, I've already edited those. These two right underneath it, lead 1 and lead 2, these are the same exact recordings. I just copied and pasted them down here, but they're unedited, completely unedited. So I'm going to play them side by side so you can hear the power of fine editing. So let's go for this. I'm going to be soloing out the two rhythm guitar tracks, along with the kick and snare, just so you can hear how tightly the ones I edited line up with the kick and snare and how loose the original recordings are. Here we go. It sounds like a 13-year-old recorded that guitar. Let's go ahead and listen to these bad boys up in his boot. All right, here we go. These are the guitar tracks that I edited already, so you can hear the difference between them, and it's huge. That is a massive difference. So I'm going to show you how I did that very efficiently. Okay, so in Pro Tools, not just 12, in pretty much all versions of Pro Tools, there's a function called Tab to Transient. If you go right up here, Tab to Transients, there's a little button that says Tab to Transients. You want to make sure that's on. Basically what that does is when you press the Tab button, it's going to move the cursor exactly where the beginning of that waveform starts. Sometimes it's a little screwy, but usually it's pretty right on. So when I press tab, look how freaking close it gets to the beginning of that waveform. I mean, it's right on the money. It even ignores all this little nuisance-ness, whatever that is, the little before the actual sound wave starts. It ignores that completely. This is extremely useful for editing anything really, but especially guitar tracks because, well, I play guitar, so that's what I use it for. So this is just a little slide in that I did before. I usually do that when I play, like, record parts. Whoa, what's going on here? Okay, I want to unsolo those. Just a little slide in. Okay, so I'm going to tab to transient on that. That's at the very beginning of this waveform right here. Get rid of those slides. These looks like I already lined these up, but no matter. Now we're going to tab to the next transient, and I'm pressing Control E to split these tracks. So once you have your cursor where you want it, you're going to press Control E on PC. I believe it's Command E on Mac. I'd have to double check that. So as you can see, these two waveforms are not lined up correctly, so you're going to end up with a different sound. Actually, this one looks like it starts in the middle of the waveform right here. I'm not entirely sure. If you're not sure that your tab to transient is going exactly where it needs to go, sometimes it helps if you're not in grid mode. Right now I'm in grid mode. We want to switch to slip mode. Quick command for that is F2, by the way. So let me pull this out a little bit, and then I'm going to put my cursor right here, which is impossible to do in grid mode. And look at that. It's going exactly where I want the cursor to go now. Whereas in, let's check this out. Look, I'm in grid mode. Let's pull this back out. It goes there. And it totally skips right over the waveform that I wanted it to go to. This has been an issue since Pro Tools 8, which is the version I started on. Avid still hasn't gotten their shit together. We're paying them monthly for this shit. And look at that. It just skips right over it. So got to go out of my way to go to slip mode in between these two waveforms here, in between those two transients, and get where I really want to go. Minor inconvenience, but when you're editing for hours and hours, it's a freaking pain in the ass, believe me. So we're back in grid mode. Okay, let's give this a listen. I'm going to re-solo these two right here, the kick and the snare. Oh, shit. So I already edited this, so I can kind of see where I want these to go. It looks like I didn't even edit this correctly. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out. I'm in grid mode right now, by the way. Pull this here, and now those should be perfectly lined up to the grid. You kind of got to know where your track is supposed to go, but if you recorded it, then you should probably know somewhat where it's supposed to go. Let's listen to this. You hear that little space in the middle right there. Right there. That sounds like shit. So what we're going to do is go back to slip mode, F2, quick command. Highlight these two. So you're going to press down and then hold shift and click on your next track. And then you're going to want to hold control. And that's going to kind of put us in slip mode, even when we're in grid mode. So I just had it in slip mode. I switched back to grid mode. So we're in grid mode right now. If I hold down control and pull these two out, it's like I'm in slip mode. If I don't hold control and I pull those two out, I'm bound to the grid. So I really don't want that big of a fade. So I'm going to hold these two down, pull this out, and look at that. I can get like a pretty sweet fade right there. Same works with a crossfade. Hold down control, and then control F for a crossfade, enter. And look at that, I have a perfect crossfade, perfect edit right there. That's beautiful right there. Okay, so now let's go to the next transient. These two look like they're already pretty close. When you start editing up your guitar tracks a little too much, they can sound a little robotic. So let's go to this next one right here. That looks pretty good. And there we go. Looks like these need to go right here. So I'm going to pull those over. Now let's give that a listen back. You always want to listen back to it every time. Maybe not every time. I mean, if you're in the heat of the moment, just editing everything, you probably know where a lot of stuff needs to go already anyways. There's that little gap right there again. So I'm going to hold down shift while I drag these over. That's already a pretty good edit right there. Zoom in real quick. Hold down control. Place my crossfade right there. And voila, that sounds awesome. Okay, tab to transient. Look at that, it's missing where the transient actually starts again. So it's skipping right over it. Look, the real transient's like right here somewhere. So let's go back into slip mode. I could have just pressed F2 right there and I didn't. Look at that. And it goes perfectly to where the transient needs to go. Oh, this is totally just ignoring right here. Okay, that one's pretty good. Let me cut that. Go back into grid mode, F4. This looks like it needs to go here. This looks like it needs to go here. Let's give that a listen. That sounds awesome. Actually, I don't want that big of a fade. Let's listen back to that now. That sounds pretty good. So you hear that little, like, you can hear a little nuance right before the guitar is supposed to come in. Whereas if you listen to these, listen how tight this is. They're muted, duh. That's because I put these fade-ins on these right here. So we go back to these here. Oh, I knew it was going to do that. Okay, so see, it's starting right here. You want to go F2, tab to transient, and voila, there we go. Pro Tools has been around for how long, and they still haven't figured that out yet? Okay, move these in place, and now let's pull these back a little bit. Hold shift and drag these over. Put a little fade on that. We want to pull these out a little bit now. And I don't want that much of it. So let's pull this in a little bit, holding control while we pull these. Holding control again so we can fade these in. And now let's listen to that. You hear how much better that sounds? It's amazing what a little bit of editing will do. I don't care how good of a guitar player you are. I don't care if you're John Petrucci. Nobody is a robot. And if you want tight sounding guitars, you will have to do this. You will absolutely have to go in and edit your guitars. Obviously, John Petrucci, you could probably line his up a little better than I can, but whatever. I got no shame in editing up my guitars to make it sound a little snappier to the grid. And now you pretty much know what to do for the rest of this. Let's go ahead and A/B this again. You can hear them side by side again. Well, there you have it. You guys now know how to tighten up your guitar tracks in Pro Tools 12. I hope this video helped you guys. If it did, go ahead and leave me a like. If it didn't, go ahead and leave me a like anyways. And as always, just hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. I appreciate it, guys. If you guys want to see a certain tutorial, let me know down in the comments below, okay? I really appreciate it. Take it easy. Thank you.